All right. So welcome everybody. This is a these are set of pre-release sessions that you're doing for the community to give an update on what are the features, enhancements that are being brought in the standard 1.0 release. We are still resolving some of the minor issues that we are facing. Um, the beta environments have been already been announced. Uh, Rahul, if you can send over the links on the chat and also add it onto the deck, please.
Sure.
Okay, so let me share my screen and let me know if you can. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Anshu.
Okay, all right. So, Bahmni, starting last year, we changed the nomenclature in terms of what you used to call as Bahmni. Before, we used to do only one single version of Bahmni. Now, we realize there is a need for bundling Bahmni appropriate to different usage context. Last year, um, around this time, we released Bahmni Lite. Now, through Bahmni Lite, we started various initiatives, technical as well. So, for example, our entire endeavors with Docker, Kubernetes were also started on the pretext of doing that. So, uh, but in general, speaking, Bahmni Lite is meant for small clinics, single doctor clinics, etc. Typically, it doesn't have the broader needs or features for the hospitals, but it comes bundling with the typical clinical module consultations, appointment scheduling, registration of codes, typical document uploads for the patients. We specifically brought in a lighter version of the lab, which is mostly around uploading reports. Some cases now actually with the later versions, they can also enter actually data. So we introduced a simple billing invoicing means with Crater, which was a much more lightweight than the standard Udo. And obviously standard reports, analytics with Metabase. Omni Lite also featured, or we started our intention to package with standardized data and metadata. So we started with the CIL concepts. We also started with what we call as a starter kit, for example, different forms, drugs, reports, etc. And we also did a lot of work in terms of making it adaptable to different screens. Primarily, we target tablet, but mobile as well, phones as well. Now, this release is specifically targeted towards Bahmni hospital. We call it Bahmni standard. So that's the main difference right now, Bahmni Lite and Bahmni standard. Uh, so this will have all the features of Bahmni Lite, right? And I'll talk about some of the features might be duplicated. For example, billing or like say lab entry. And you may choose, say, okay, I'm going to use only that, not use the other one. That's up to you. But it will have all the features of Light. They may not be enabled, but you can always enable certain or add on certain services. In this specific release, there is a big feature that are coming in terms of the IPD, the different hospital level reports. Obviously, we'll have the OpenLS, which will continue to work as a full-fledged lab information system. We have done another significant work in terms of upgrading Odoo. So right now we are shipping with Odoo 16, and which is also has got the lifetime support. Again, standardized metadata, CAL, there are certain reports and templates which have been done, which is more suited for hospital. Again, we realize is this not all metadata, uh, specifically starter kits, forms, templates, etc. We might have covered compared to like say what earlier demo or the legacy version of the Bahmni used to do it. Based on the feedback we will take on, and right now we are in a means that next version, for example, of the starter kit that you need to do bundle out. We don't need to, repackage or rebundle Bahmni. We'll just say, hey, do one upload or pull at the latest image and and you are good to go. One of the key features that we are bringing in the Bahmni standard is SNOMED CT, terminology server integrations. We'll talk about this later, but keep in mind that we are providing the technical means and the capabilities. We are not shipping with the content as such at all because of the licensing reasons, right? And we will talk about it in detail later. So this session is supposed to be just an overview. If you have seen the schedule, there will be feature-wise in-depth sessions that we'll be covering. So in this session, we would not be covering probably in detail much. This is in a snapshot, all the things that you can think about that Bahmni standard will bring in. Dockerized, obviously, beyond the components that are already dockerized as part of the Bahmni Lite, we have also dockerized, like say, Odoo, radiology, bunch of other components that cloud ready. We are not immediately releasing the Helm charts, right? That we need to do still some testing, but that's independent of the standard release. We can do it any point of time. That would have anyway come as a separate set of utilities, etc. We have covered a lot of ground in terms of the security. If you are still interested to figure out, like, what are the security vulnerabilities have been addressed, please write to us and we will be very happy to share with you all the latest, obviously, the vulnerability list, as well as what are the different things that have been fixed. CAL support, I already talked about, but it is not comprehensive. It's a curated subset of content. People who are not going with, say, SNOMED or other their personally curated contents, they can still go with the CIL dictionary. And we are actively working with Andrew Cantor and others, for example, to find any discrepancy and to fix this. But this is what we are shipping it right now. IPD, I've already talked about. It's got a new inpatient care view. There are support for workflows and tasks, for example, both for medication and non-medication. Fire support, along with the typical fire support, we have also enhanced the fires. For example, the diagnostic report API, for example, has been significantly enhanced. We also have features now through which we can export anonymized say data, and there are various level of anonymization means to do that. And it will also, as I said earlier, will also you have the capability of integrating with any fire terminology service. All right. SNOMED being the first one that we did, obviously, at the time of integration, say, suppose you want to integrate with Loink, as in like, fire.loink.org as such. There are certain configurations that you need to do, certain queries potentially you need to do. But as long as the terminology server adheres to the fire terminology server specification, it should work. Teleconsultation support, other than minor, there's a minor, this is nothing different from what earlier version already had. There are enhanced communications that are happening using SMS, WhatsApp, email. Um, Many of this we have provide the capability, but not necessarily the tooling. For example, other email, you still need to configure your mail server, right? SMS, you still need to probably integrate with your telecom service provider. We provide a built-in utility. You can download it, enhance it as you want it. Uh, by default, Bahmni standard will have this disabled, so you need to enable it. And again, in the details sections, subsequent sessions will cover all that. Yes, there are some enhancements in the appointments. For example, right now, Bahmni also supports waitlisted appointment. Before it was not uh, supported specifically. There are quick logouts, so you can specifically done from IPD context because you wanted users to log their screen, for example, or to log out. So using a few keys, it will just log out and log them out. It will also have the remember me feature. For example, if you re-log in, you'll come back to the same screen that you were there. Lot of fixes on the in translation and I-18. I think Mohan, our French translation and Spanish are complete.
Yes, Anshu, it's
Almost done, right? And I know
yeah.
that people are also working on Nepali also. Um, uh,
Yes, translations on Nepali is also happening.
right. Another big thing that infrastructure upgrade that has been happening is on the MySQL 8.0. Right. Again, we'll have a detailed sessions in terms of the how do you upgrade. But most of the cloud providers, are right now have gone to 8.0. Those who are still providing is they are probably going to charge you a fortune. Um, Actually, our Helm charts is in the same state. We were paying a lot of money because the older versions were not supported. So Helm charts will come a little bit later. MySQL 8, uh, we are bundling from this version onwards. Right, there are certain things you need to be aware of, but those we will cover into specific details sessions. Okay, so what is not included? Uh, First of all, this is not a distribution of the India distro. That will happen subsequently whenever it happens. Right. And most of the time, the India distro has got additional things like, integration with, say, e-Aushadha, e-Sanjeevani, certain specific content, etc. That happen. Bahmni outreach, which was for community clinics or field level workers, for example, that is not also included. India IBDM plugins, for example, are also not included onto this. This would all probably should all go into the Bahmni India distro. However, India IBDM plugins work seamlessly over our standard release, our QA environments, the environments that are integrated with the IBDM sandbox are all over the standard release components. So we are pretty confident that they should work seamlessly. All right. Before I go any further, any questions, or we can take questions in the end as well? Okay, going forward. So the most or the biggest feature that we are bringing in over here is the inpatient care. Now, as you know that Bahmni's IP, inpatient care, you can see my screen, right? And again, I'm not going to do a detailed demo. This is just going to be a quick overview. We have specific sessions planned for IPD where we'll cover in-depth configurations, setups, and other things. So Bahmni essentially had parts of it, what he used to call it as say ADT or a bed management module, from where you can do the typical admit discharge, or even transfer. Once the doctor gives a disposition, there are some workflows that are meant over there. But In patient care itself, like, we didn't have any specific feature for it. Now, thanks to Cure International, who, and this was a contribution from them, and the product team worked along with them on a regular basis, providing design, feedback, guidances. We think, like, this is generic enough and not tied to any specific implementations. This is, remember, the first version. So obviously there is a lot of other features or grounds to be covered. We'll be very much willing to hear what your experience are. Where do you think, like, we can enhance subsequently? All right. So I will quickly show. I had a patient, for example, which was already registered. I'll go to, uh, sorry, here, and you will find there is a change to care view, right? So this was our earlier, right? These were the patients that are admitted. That's it. Now, if you go over here and it says that this is the word view, you can have word list view as well. Uh, go back and you can choose different admission locations over there. So general word will show you this. It will show all the list of. These are also aligned towards, like, say, schedule of the nurses. So primarily, you can say the primary users would be the IPD nurses, and they follow, like, the periods. You can define, like, how long each period is, from what time to what time. And this would show all the patients, for example, and if for each patients, what are the tasks that are over there. Um, Say, for example, if I go again, you can drill down further, and this is the IPD dashboard, for example, that, like, we have, which shows again a curated set of information, the diagnosis, conditions, treatments, etc. Different tasks that you have. You can also have the complete drug administration chart over here. For example, look at this. This is a medicine advice for the patient. And you can say, hey, I want to add this to the drug chart. And in that case, for example, you can schedule what time, what is the start time, any instructions. Let's just say, I don't know. Um, okay, I don't know what time is it. Let me see. Right, I can do this. It will help you in terms of, like, because it knows from the order details that this is should start from here once a day, uh, and you can save that. Similarly, you can also do, now if you see this has already created the schedule. For example, this should tell you that next one, where you are, this is where it will be. You can select this and say, okay, I am marking this as done. Right. Similarly, you have other non-medication this thing also. Like, for example, collect patient history, record medications, etc. These are configurable. You can add both medication, which is, like, emergency medication here. It doesn't allow, like, schedule or as such. It's the one time. There are non-medication tasks as well. We are not showing this, but there is a configuration also. You can specify along with the task name what type of task that it is as well. So, yeah. And we are hoping that over time, this will be further enhanced, right? We have also in the community calls have discussed that, hey, we would potentially like to link it up with our OT and also the surgery documentations. So which will be subsequent versions. For example, we will probably integrate all this together to bring a comprehensive view of the patient. All right. So that's was about IPD. Akhil, anything additionally you would like to add?
No, nothing. Just wanted to show the uh, drug chart that once you administer a drug, you can see that on the drug chart as well.
Okay, let
But
me.
maybe we'll probably deep dive when we do the IPD specific demo.
Okay,
But just bring it up on the screen and maybe we can just show that once.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the drug chart, scrollable. Plus, wherever the drug is supposed to be given, the legend is below.
Yeah. So you can scroll if you do this, like, it'll show you you're not viewing the current one, but you can see this, right? So these are all also, remember, different UX, etc. We would like very much like in your feedback, whether this is appropriate, enhancements, etc. You can filter all this, like, hey, completed, which are like, stopped. There are lots of ability ways to filter information as well. Okay. You can obviously initiate some of the other, say, discharge or transfer from here. All right. So moving back. Yeah, this I think we have already spoken about, that we are bundling with the CIL metadata right now, test procedure conditions. Drugs that we are providing right now, remember, these are only example set and it only contains subset of the list of essential medicines that are published for India. I think right now we have included the list from 2022. There are templates and forms. Obviously, we have redone whatever the forms that were like, already there. We have tried to map it to the CIL concepts, etc. One good thing about the CIL concept is this, that many of the concepts are already mapped to like say SNOMED or LOIN. All right. All right. As I said, one of the biggest update in this release is the upgrade to Udo 16. Right? It comes with the Udo 16 LTS support. We have like, data migration modules for OpenERP, not all sorts. And I'll ask Mohan to provide a few details on this. Um, Primarily, we have looked into the bring feature parity with Udo 10. All right. So whatever the typical integrations were there, like, would already be there. By the way, not everything is bundled as part of, say, Udo 16. So for example, accounting, you do need to install, right? Module your way. And the accounting obviously makes sense, because along with the accounting, you'll probably also have to install the chart of accounts, which are country specific, etc. Before, the integration with Udo was typically done through XML RPC, but starting with Udo 16, this has been moved to a more REST JSON based API. And there is a lot of additional reports that are being worked on. All right. Mohan, do you want to provide some more brief detail about like this? Also, if you can highlight that, that some of the organizations have already moved to 16.
Yeah, sure, Anshu. Thanks. Yeah, so on the data migration part, we have custom modules which would help us migrate few of the master data. So by master data, that would mean, for example, unit of measure categories, unit of measure, the product details, product categories, and even the customers and suppliers as well. So all this data can be migrated from older version, be it if you are running an OpenERP 7 or from Udo 10. So that can be moved to the Udo 16 version. And then as Angshu mentioned, from that place, we can start with the Atom feed sync, where new quotations can start coming from based on the REST APIs. And then on the additional report side, yeah, there has been few reports that are developed. So major things would include a stock statement report, a purchase order report, and then a stock move report. So on top of Udo's default reporting, this has been developed with supports like downloading the reports in an Excel format, etc. Yeah, and then recently during March, 2 months, but 2-3 months back, we have one organization that has moved from OpenERP 7 to Udo 16. So the migration has been completed and they have been running on Odoo 16 for about 3 months now.
Yeah, so this is also we'll cover in depth in the subsequent session. But remember also is this that it is not like the EMR, right? Where you don't have to think about upgrades. Automatically things would be migrated as such, right? In Odoo 16, we have tried to do how much ever we could. But remember that every ERP installation is unique because it depends on the what additional modules you add. So the database structure itself is dynamic that way. Right. So you need to be careful. Obviously, there is a lot of planning. For example, all this time, this particular organization could not move because their entire accounting, inventory, balance sheets, everything was over there. Right. You can't move in the middle of the year. It requires planning, it requires preparation, etc. Mohan, we have also done for the import of the receivables and the payables, right?
Yeah, for the outstanding, which are all the receivables, we can do a CSV based import. That's what we did for the other organization. But Odoo supports imports and Excel formats in every model. So
Right.
wherever we have an UI, they support it. So from the old system that can be exported and some cleanup would be needed to match the new model. And once that's done, it can be imported into the new system.
Okay, moving on. So one of the most important features in this release is obviously the SNOMED City integration. Uh, as I said, henceforth, you can plug in SNOMED City terminology server as just a Fire terminology server. Remember, we are bundling the technical capabilities, not the content, which means setting up the SNOMED server, loading it up with the content is up to you. And this is primarily done because of the license. Many countries, for example, will probably need to, or implementations need to ask for explicit license. The affiliate members, for example, should look into their country specific directions about where they can download. So for example, in India, if you have the MLDS license, for example, you can download it from the SNOMED site. You can also add on additional extensions for country. Say, for example, India provides extensions for, I think, oncology. It provides extensions for drugs. You can also load these two up. Some of the features probably you would not notice because from the interface perspective, there is no difference, right? If you're searching for condition, if you're searching for diagnosis on a template, for example, if one of the fields is bound to a SNOMED city concepts, you would not see any difference, right? But the data that is being captured will be encoded to SNOMED city concepts automatically. If the concept was not present, obviously it will be created in the OpenMRS dictionary. If the concept was found, then the system will try to resolve that what is the matching SNOMED city concept for this. One of the big plus points, obviously, is that while the data is being encoded, how can you leverage it for actual, uh, benefits for the providers? One such thing is clinical decision supporting system. And right now we have coverage for these three. Maybe Akhil, you want to elaborate on this?
Yeah. So basically we got three features that we support: drug-drug interactions, drug diagnosis, contraindications, and high dosage warnings. Now, the rules are not set up. We have not curated any standard rules for this, but the feature is supported. So you can set up your own rules. You can curate a list, then you can set those up and you can start using these features. We have some demo rules set up though, which works for all the three, and only for a given set of conditions for a given set of drugs, we have set it up. But the rules entirely is on the community for now.
Right. And we hope that over time we are able to, along with the community support, we are able to curate all these rules. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, if you are not happy with the built-in systems that you have, as I said, you can still plug in a standard oriented system. So for example, entire CDS feature works over the typical FHIR CDS hook. So as long as you can put a CDS FHIR compliant server, things will work, right? You might even want to say, okay, I will integrate with like say SIMS or MIMS databases. I might integrate with like say drug bank. Yes, you can do all that. But at the same time, I think like, the built-in tools are also very useful. And we would look forward to community collaboration in terms of curating this content. Uh, yeah. Akhil, you want to take the next one on the ICD-10 reporting and why it is important as well?
Yeah, so ICD-10 reporting is standard affair in many countries. So with this automatic mapping that we already have with SNOMED CT to ICD-10 mapping, we are able to generate these standardized reports that can be directly submitted, as a export from Bahmni is ready to actually be submitted to the ministries across the countries.
Yeah, and the last one is about like, again, exporting anonymized patient information for advanced analytics. So one such example is leveraging the SNOMED Snowlytical tool, but potentially you can think about any other systems which can we export the data using the FHIR NDJSN. So a compliant FHIR specific system should be able to interpret this, read this information easily. All this on the SNOMED integration would not have been possible, obviously, without SNOMED organization support. So we are thankful for that. I think Kai is here with us. Kai, you want to say a few words?
I
think Kai left for another call.
for another meeting.
Okay, too bad. All right, maybe I should have brought this up earlier. But anyway, this would not have been possible without the SNOMED like an organization support. Not just Kai, even their terminology teams have worked with us extensively to do this. SNOMED, for example, is also now a member of the Bahmni coalition. So we look forward to their ongoing collaborations and help. Moving on. Okay, so there have been other enhancements. You will find the login screen is now split. All right. So before somebody would put a username, password, as well as the locations. Now locations come in separately. You have the ability to restrict the location for a particular user to specific locations, login locations. As I said, the appointments you can mark, you don't have to provide a date. This can be marked as a waitlisted, and somebody subsequently can look into this and say, okay, this is the day things are scheduled. We have introduced like the OT scheduling. There is a provider view. Before it was only like, the location as in like OT room based view. Now you have the provider view as well. There is a allergies display control. As I told you, the login remember me feature, quick logout, also security and time zones support. I'm going to quickly show you some of this because I don't think like, we have dedicated sessions for all of the small ones. But this is the login one, for example, right? You can configure, for example, that for a particular provider, which are the login locations that are applicable. It will show over there and you can select and you can log in. This will also help us going forward because most likely going forward, we are going to move towards more of a identity provider to do all this login handling, etc. Appointments. I don't have appointments. What user that I've logged in as? 1 minute. I think like. Okay, so yeah, appointments, for example, you now have waitlisted appointment. How do you create a new waitlisted appointment? Basically, you just say, okay, this is a waitlist. And in that case, you will not be asked to put a date, for example. Once you have done that, you can obviously subsequently somebody can edit and provide the dates as such. On the OT side, right now, look into this. There is a provider view of it, right? Before it was not there. Now there is a provider view. Like, you can say, hey, this thing against which the surgery block is done, and it will show the details accordingly. Rahul, do you have the allergy somewhere configured?
I have it on my default, right?
Okay. Do you want to quickly show that?
Sure. I'll share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Rahul.
I'll maybe give a quick demo on how it is. So here, if you see, so here, you see there is a patient, Dhyan Krishna, and there is a display control ad called allergens, and which has a ad button with uh, allergens display. So if I go for an allergen, say pollen, and I give a common reaction, could be anything. I can search it maybe from here. It could be cough, and then I specify a severity. And if I hit save, I should ideally be able to see that on my allergies display control. So, and in order to configure that, you can simply go to your Bahmni config and then add in the allergy controls. So this would be this would be the UUIDs, and how to configure all of this has been brief explained in detail here in this wiki page. So, uh, any questions on that?
Rahul, why you are still sharing your screen? Do you want to also talk about the Remember Me feature, the login and quick logout?
Yes. So here, if I move out, right here as a provider, I can click on Command and Escape. It should ideally log me out of my system. Right. So I'm logged out. I didn't get in everything here. Okay. See, what I had to do was to click on Command and Escape. This one is also something that we have introduced and it is documented here in our. So this is for the quick logout feature, which will log you out of the system, and you can see a detailed demo with the keys pressed. And then for the context, the remember me feature, this works specifically when you have this config enabled. So right now, by default, this config would be set to 0. And in that case, if you log out of a default location, you'll be taken back to the home screen itself. So in this case, in my case, I haven't set it up. I don't have the context set to a non-zero value, which is any positive value. So in that case, if I log out from any of these pages, I'll be taken back to the home screen. But in case of a user who is logged out from a particular screen with this cookie enabled, say set to a positive value, he'll be taken back to the same screen. Maybe I can quickly enable that in a minute. Maybe, I'm sure I
That's
can
okay. I
enable
think
it as
we'll
well.
do, I think, detailed sessions later on.
Sure, sure.
Uh,
Good. So for more details, you can head over to the logging into Bahmni parent folder, and you can see you can read more about these two features here in the quick logout, quick user logout, and maintain context. I'll stop sharing.
All right. Uh, I accidentally closed my browser window. Okay. Right. So as I said, there is a lot of enhancement in the Docker as well. Mohan, do you want to cover briefly about this? We will have a detailed session on the Docker setup, upgrades, etc. And the schedule has already been published. And Mohan, do you want to give a quick overview over here?
Yeah, sure. Ankit. Yeah, so on Docker, as we know, with Bahmni Lite itself, we have started this initiative wherein we had Dockerized the Lite specific components, the EMR, appointments, Bahmni apps, all this has been Dockerized. And now the same has been Dockerized across all. So now we have every single component, which includes like say the EMR components, OpenLS, Voodoo, Packs, everything is Dockerized now, and it is available as a service in Docker Compose. And all of those environment variables, for example, username, passwords, configuration properties, debug options, server options, everything is configurable from the .env files. And as we know, since Docker Compose supports multiple env files, we can configure env files specific to our environments. Okay, so we have a default .env that is being shipped along with the repository. But if you are setting it up for an implementation and you want to update the passwords, use different configurations, you can create a separate .env files, maybe env.prod, env pre-prod, and then set it up accordingly. And then next, yeah, so since the use case of Bahmni differs from implementation to implementation, maybe somebody would be running lab, somebody would not be running Voodoo, somebody would not need packs, or some implementations may choose alone, not Voodoo or packs. So in which case, that is also now possible with the Docker Compose profiles. So profiles are configured across services. You can toggle on whatever services or the applications that you need to run, and only those specific services would be started. Yeah, and as we know now, Docker facilitates quick setup and quick upgrades as well. It's just a matter of upgrading and updating an image tag, and you would get the new version of the binary being pulled in automatically. Yeah.
Yeah,
So a detailed session is planned for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Same time.
So we'll have a detailed session tomorrow on this. Okay. I think this is our last slide. But before this, any questions or any queries? Please feel free.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shwan team. We really appreciate your guys' efforts. A lot of things were kind of in waiting for a long time, like in MySQL and Odoo 16 and right. Dockerize, yeah, it's been there. So we are being earlier after we already started taking up the from community and our development team also working on it. We would like to contribute if there are issues being reported. So we will have it reported. But yeah, a lot of features that we already have lined up one site, especially for Snowmed integration that we are taking up soon.
Great. I mean, we would look very much looking forward to different use cases through Snowmelt. Right. We'd love to hear how. In the Snowmelt session, we will be also be covering about other things like there are additional scripts that that are available to set up value sets, configurations as such. So do join those sessions as well. Specifically Snowmed, for example, usage must be an informed decision. It's not an ad hoc, one fine day I decide and next day I say, oh, I don't want to, right? That's not going to happen. So please join those sessions. Yes, and please keep giving us feedback. see, we want to make life easier for both implementer as well as the end users, and all the shelf readiness in terms of standardized content setup, for example, are key. So any gaps over there, any feedbacks that you have, anything like, that will make life easier for implementers, end users, please let us know. One thing, do know that, see, right now we're in the beta phase where we announce it to the community, and community, we encourage community to try this out, try upgrades, test it out. So please provide us with your feedback. Help us to test, like, this is the beta environment. You can, especially existing implementers, if you're looking to migrate. So although we have done migration on context of a real in production user, but scenarios can be vastly different, right? Because of the level of implementation that has been done, customizations have been done. So please provide us feedback with this. You can join Slack or on post on talk.openmrs, for example, under Bahmni category. And evangelize broadcast onto your networks. This always helps. Okay, anything else would you like to ask for?
Not really. I mean, I just want to say, please help us test it. Your feedback is invaluable. And please evangelize so it can reach more and more people that the release is out. And if somebody is interested, they can benefit from it.
Yeah. And lastly, of course, not the least, Bahmni would not exist without all of your people collaboration, contributions, feedbacks, etc. And this release is no different. We are the core team, but our primary job is to facilitate collaboration. Um, our we probably take care of the release as such, and making sure on the upkeep and maintenance, upgrades as such. But all this contributions, feedback come from different usage context. Apart from the usual suspects, like, on the product team, also like, coalition support, like, IPLate, as well as like, Snowmed organization, and say Intellisoft, Beehive, such organization. MSF has been a long time contributor to Bahmni. This year, for example, many of the IPD features were contributed back by Cure International. So we are thankful to them, and obviously larger OpenMRS community, right? We leverage each other. There is a lot of back end, for example, collaboration that is happening, not just in terms of the metadata, but in terms of the future. For example, these are not evident. Like, say, we have a new procedure model, we have new Fire, capable APIs. These are often not visible, but there are significant collaborations that are all the time happening with the extended OpenMRS community. So this is what we had planned for this session. We will be doing detailed session on some of this topics. I think tomorrow is more on the Docker and the setup installations as such. Do join that. This will also be key for some of the upgrade related work, especially for implementers who are looking from an upgrade on an older version of Bahmni standard to the new one. I think this is going to be a key thing. Mohan, anything you want to add for as a precursor to tomorrow's session? Yeah.
Yes, thanks. I just want to call out. So I'm pasting few links on the Zoom chat. So you can go through that. That's our previous detailed training and documentations that we did for Docker upgrade as well as Bahmni and Docker. So this would help us serve as a base for the tomorrow session. Yeah. And we would be covering about all Bahmni upgrade, how do you upgrade from CentOS to Docker, and what has happened with MySQL upgrade, what are the key areas that you need to focus when you do a MySQL upgrade, and then a brief about how to use your specific implementation configs, etc.
All right, so this is what I had, what we had for today. Anything anybody would like to bring up? We still have about 5 minutes. So I think we did good on time today. Okay.
Quick, if you have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Any usability improvement has been done on any other screen other than what you already shown, like an appointments? I've seen the OT scheduling and yeah, I guess couple of more, but yeah, anything on the consultation module or anywhere, any other UX work has been done?
Yeah. I think the major work that has happened on the consultation is more about making the consultation module what do you say, responsive, right? So I mean, it will always depend on how you have configured your is it on implementation. What widgets do you have, like, what are the other different things that you have, like, configured. But at least right now the consultation module, like, is responsive, and you can potentially work on right, on a mobile. We are not releasing this, but I don't know how many of you know, we have an early version of a mobile app, which is a very specifically built for doctors. You can even try that out, but that's a very limited feature. That's why we are not even announced this thing. It's a very early. We typically announce sort of like a preview release, but I don't think we are in that stage yet to even announce it as a preview. But you are welcome to try that out.
Sure. Yep.
And also on the consultation module, we have a couple of minor but significant updates on the medication tab. As part of the IPD features, we have a couple of new additions to the medication tab, which includes a print option, wherein you can take a printout of all the medications prescribed. You can add display controls to the medication tab, few other minor enhancements. So it's adding to the list of changes.
Okay, thanks, Manoj.
Okay, so I think we end the call for today. Thanks all for joining, and look forward to your participation tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Sanchun. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting.